Could this be the year Jaylen and Jayson go on a big revenge tour? Should they go on a revenge tour? We'll talk about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster brand, it's holiday season, drop Drew in the mix. And 3 from KP, no we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Deuce, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in Locked On after. Karalis on the breakdown, clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and Jace, how we started, raising banners, how we finish. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Right now, we're doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but we'll be back. We will be back. I don't know what my mouth was just doing there, but we will be back to 5 days a week, starting mid to late September, when the Celtics return and go off to Abu Dhabi and all of that stuff. So I will be here. I am excited to bring you podcasts 5 days a week then. So subscribe, get into that comment section on YouTube, ring the bell there, get notified when I drop new videos. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis. I've been covering this Celtics team for about 20 years now, almost 20 years. Right now I'm doing it as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I'm also the author of a couple different Celtics books, including Built Different, the commemorative book celebrating Banner 18. So find that wherever you get your books online. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So the concept of today's show is very simple. A lot of people want the Celtics and Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown to go on a big revenge tour because Team USA wronged them. Steve Kerr benched Jayson Tatum. And this, we've been talking about motivation, but beyond motivation, people want vengeance. So I decided to get the most vengeful guy I know, Tom Westerholm, to talk about this on the show. Tom, how you doing?
I'm feeling vengeful. It's John Wick hours right now. Ready to go.
Yep. It's exactly I've seen you do it. It's poetry in motion.
I don't think people get what I meant when I said I was a shooter. I think.
Yeah. No, I think that you couldn't be more clear. But,
yeah.
I don't know. People might. It's possible that on a basketball podcast, people don't realize that
things
are
misconstrued. Yeah.
Yeah. You roam the underworld as a paid assassin.
That's me.
Yeah. It's you. That's why.
Although not anymore. I haven't seen that guy in a while. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. People want Jaylen and Jayson to go full John Wick, and we as a general society love the idea of revenge. Someone shoots John Wick's dog. Like, I can't believe you did that, and now John Wick goes on a massive spree, and people are like, yeah. Let's get 5 or 6 movies of him doing this because we love it, right? Like the story of revenge is tantalizing. It's juicy. And people want extreme revenge. Oh, Jayson Tatum got benched twice in an Olympic basketball tournament that they won and he got a gold medal out of it. No, that cannot stand. He now must lay waste to the entire NBA for 82 games plus however many playoff games. That's the only answer to how he was treated. So I would love to see the revenge. I would love to see dark glasses walking down the tunnel, slow motion video, pithy one-liners at the podium, all of that stuff as the Celtics win by 40 and Jaylen and Jayson combine for like 82. But we'll just start there. It would be a lot of fun just to see these guys, because it would be a little out of character if they could just get to that level where like a LeBron can do it, Steph can do it, KD can do it. Like those guys who are just like, oh, okay. Well, let me just click something in my brain. That's never been who these guys are. It would, in a vacuum, without considering the repercussions, just that would be an amazing thing to watch, of Jaylen and Jayson just going crazy on the NBA and having a big revenge tour.
So it's funny, right? Because I think of the two players, like I think, we've been on record, like I think we both think Jayson Tatum is, technically the better player of Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, right?
Sure.
Like we both kind of said that. I think it's funny because I kind of feel like Jaylen Brown might be the one who's more capable of doing that.
Yes.
He
is the more emotional of the two.
Right.
And
In both, the positive and the negative ways, right? But like in this,
sure.
in the positive way, where it's like, I mean, and just like the way his game is built now, like Tatum loved trying to get into like the mid range and doing kind of that ISO like stuff that like he used to love that, and he was pretty bad at it. Like that was like statistically, he just wasn't.
Yeah.
His game in high school and college did not translate to the NBA, but everything else about his game absolutely did, right? And that was what, I don't know, that's always been kind of one of the weird things about him, is that he was a mid-range assassin in high school and college, and that just, that has changed significantly. Jaylen actually is, can do some of that stuff somewhat efficiently. He's a little bit more, I don't know, there's something about his game that I think lends itself a little bit better to revenge than I think Tatum's does.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just kind of an odd thing about their dynamic, is that there are these advantages to Jaylen's game, like where Tatum is the better player. Like Tatum is, like you build a team around Tatum. I think I don't know how you would build a team around Jaylen, but I think if you wanted to, if you want like a revenge guy, I think that Jaylen is the one who's a little bit better equipped for it somehow.
He has, so there's an emotional element to revenge, right? Like Tatum is the more even keeled guy. He just, when you talk about not too high, not too low, he lets everything roll off his back. He's super competitive, and obviously we see when it comes to like an official, if an official does something wrong, he lets the official have it.
Yes.
But in every other way, he tends to be just much more in a zone, right? A little, whatever box. Jaylen has always been, he's been the one that's been doubted. He's lived with doubt all along. And if anybody has gone on a revenge tour, last season's Jaylen Brown could be, we could look back on it and say, that kind of was a revenge tour for Jaylen. He didn't do it in the classic way, and that's not what people are generally talking about. But the man won a championship and was the MVP in the conference finals and finals. He found ways to be the better player on the floor, or the better statistical player anyway.
Yeah.
And grow his game to a point where he can do the things that hurt him. Like he do the things that he couldn't do before or wasn't willing to do before, so he became the best version of Jaylen last season. And to your point, having gone through all of that, like this is like the Batman, the Joker type of like, there's an origin story for like, how did this character become the one who lays waste, one way or the other. The Jaylen has done all of that stuff. And then when he thought, hey, maybe this is the time I'm going to be on Team USA, they still said no. Even though it was kind of predetermined that Derek White was going to be on the team, whatever, he can take the slight however he wants to take the slight. Yeah, I think he has the more emotional of like, oh, okay. Oh, you still doubting me? You still, huh? Still. Like he's the guy that goes higher and lower, right? He's the one that goes up and down.
For sure. And I mean, he's also like, I mean, even if you go back into like his history, right? Like, he likes to bring back that one tweet that, that where it was like, I think it was probably 5 years ago that some like he brought up that some teacher had told him like, hey, you're probably going to end up in jail. Like he loves to bring that back, justifiably so, right? That like, yeah, he's certainly, he proved that person wrong. But I think there's an element of Jaylen that I think is a little bit more prone to wanting to prove people wrong. Whereas I think there's an element of Tatum that's a little bit more of just kind of like, Tatum has sort of been built, right? Like he's kind of become this player who has built himself into this NBA player, and Jaylen has too. But it's like, I think with Jaylen, it's a little bit more. There's a little bit more of a motivation factor.
I would love to get Rafi's take on this.
He's ready to present it.
Cameo for the YouTube folks from Tom Westerholm's sidekick / son, Rafi. Great time to take a break, and we'll address Rafi's needs while I address the next things. But yes, we'll get into the Tatum being built and Jaylen, kind of all of that stuff that you were just talking about, coming up in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by eBay. We're talking about Jaylen. We're talking about Jayson. We talk about winning a championship. So we know that passion, drive, and patience is the formula for winning a championship, and it's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. You got superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. So whatever you're into, if it's speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA next. Make that your second listen, especially on Wednesdays when I join Jake Madison and we talk about the NBA. We got rotating hosts all week long. All the big stories, all the big storylines, all the fun discussion on Locked On NBA. Wherever you find Locked On Celtics, you'll find Locked On NBA, even on YouTube. All right, let's get back to the discussion. Tom, so Rafi, what's his take on Jaylen? As you, I think Rafi muted you, so we get that fixed.
Rafi's take on the situation is that he thinks he should be allowed to read longer tonight, so that's helpful.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so the revenge tour, the concept is a fun one. I don't know that it's possible. I don't know that, as much as this concept is a great one to discuss and a great one to write about and have our little debates about it. The last time I saw Jayson and Jaylen try to do too much on their own, Celtics were losing.
Yes.
It's why they lost to the Warriors. It's why they went down some of these roads that they couldn't get over the hump. This past season was very obviously about them playing more as a team. I just know, look, I'm talking to my neighbor across the street, and he does not watch basketball. And we were talking after the Celtics won the finals, and like he finally watched some of the Celtics in the finals, and he's like, wow, they really play as a team. They pass the ball so well. And you're like, this is great. This is exactly what, like, if Joe Mazzulla, if he could hear that, be like, thank you. It's not what the Celtics have been known for in the past. My fear is that if this crosses from motivation to come back and win a championship into, hey, I have to show you something, that the stuff that made the Celtics great falls by the wayside, and that could be detrimental to the team.
Yeah. I'm with you that it's like a fun topic to discuss. And it's like I think it, especially, I mean, we've joked about it before, right? But it's like, Steve Kerr, thank you so much, because this has been a boon to
Oh God,
the
yeah.
content creators. But like at its core, right? This is this, we even talked about it last time when we talked about the schedule. It's like the fact that we get to have that that topic right away during the season is so great, because everything is going to have to move past this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like a revenge tour on this Celtics team. Like, people clowned the Celtics a little bit for being like, oh, like, Jayson Tatum is like, he's just being carried by his talented team, yada yada. And like, there's the truth is, like, Jayson Tatum is an excellent basketball player, but there's like, it's not like that it's not like there's nothing to that. His team is really talented, and a big part of the reason the Celtics were so good is because they were a whole team, is because there wasn't one guy trying to take over everything. It was, it wasn't Tatum coming in and trying to average 35 points, to try to move himself up from last year. The teams that had guys who averaged 30 points last year didn't win the finals. Like, the teams in the East, like Embiid, like, I don't know, that's a guy who goes out there and gets his own stats, and like the Sixers need that to an extent, but that's a different thing. The Celtics are a different team, and they're better for it. So, like, realistically, the other thing about this, right, is like, I think that Tatum is very cognizant of that. I think that Tatum has his head on right and wants to win. And I think that when and Jaylen too, I think that both I realistically think, I think these guys are going to kind of realize, like, hey, me coming out and averaging, 32 points a game is not going to change what happened this summer. I think that, what changes that is winning again, because like, nobody can say anything to you if you win the title. Like, you're the champion. Just do that again.
Just do that again. Exactly. This is where Joe Mazzulla comes in.
Yeah.
In his, like, what you just said is probably what Joe Mazzulla is going to say in some form, if not in those exact words. Okay, do you want to come out and drop 50? Okay, let's say you score 50 against Golden State. Does that change anything about what just happened? No. Do you, Jayson Tatum, really have to prove something to Steve Kerr? You don't think Steve Kerr knows who you are? You don't think everybody knows who you are and what you're capable of doing? He made his decisions, and we can all disagree, and I certainly disagree with it too. But those decisions were made by somebody who's not here. And you cannot let somebody who is not here dictate what you do while you are here. That's akin to breaking up with somebody and stalking your ex's Instagram and having that be that kind of informing your decision on how you're handling your current relationship. That's just not, you can't have that kind of voice in your head constantly driving what you're doing. We just lost Tom.
Yeah, and I mean, the truth is that if you're the Celtics, right, you've seen what a successful relationship looks like, right? Like, you've seen what a successful relationship to winning looks like. Like, the process. You like, there's and it's specific, and it's not always going to be fully glorifying the individual, and that's like why it works. And it's like that, and that's not an easy thing, like, I get that. I mean, it's, we're talking about great players here. Like, Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to the Hall of Fame. So it's like, there is here an amount of legacy that is being built. And that's, that's not nothing. That legacy stuff is individual, but it comes from the team success, and trying to balance all of that. I get that can be difficult. That said, I just think these guys have it, like, I just kind of believe in both of these players to kind of get the bigger picture. I think that they're both smart individuals, smart basketball players. And frankly, like, I mean, you look at these guys, I think they're also basketball historians to an extent, like they know the history of the game. And that's part of what informs, I think that's part of the reason why I think that they're going to be able to put all this stuff kind of behind them, not go on a revenge tour and just win basketball games, because they know that like the legacy isn't actually like, did you play in the Olympics? Did you whatever? I mean, that stuff can help, but like
Sure.
the stuff that's really going to help is all the stuff they did last year, is every single thing they did last year. That adds so much to their legacy, culminating in the championship. I don't know. That's kind of where I come down on this.
And honestly, they have too strong a locker room, too strong a coaching staff. That's why I brought up Missoula. I don't think, like, it's funny to see the clip, or, going around. Celtics shared it, where I love, this is so classic Joe Missoula. It's Tatum coming off the floor. They're going to win a championship. He's been subbed out, and he hugs Joe Missoula, and he's like, "We did it." And Joe Missoula says, "Told you. I told you." I'm like, I love that he's like, "I told you." Just wrapped up in all of that is, you might have thought I was crazy, and I said a lot of crazy things, and I put you through a lot of crap, but I told you if we did it this way, it was going to work, and it worked. And it's just so funny. But also, he can lean on that to be like, "I told you last year how we were going to do it, and we did it. And I'm telling you right now, what you're doing," let's say they're going on this revenge tour. "What you're doing, what you want to do, that's, you want to go back to losing? Go ahead. Go ahead. But if you want to win, it's got to be the same way." Let's talk about the motivation. The difference here, do not conflate motivation and revenge. It's two different things. They can look the same, but it's two different things. We'll talk about that in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. You've heard a lot about FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. We talk about the Celtics being 5.5-point favorites on opening night. So you can open up FanDuel and go have some fun there. Hey, why not throw $5 on either the Celtics or the Knicks if you want to, take the points? It's ring night. Who knows? Maybe the Celtics can get distracted. Right now, we've got a little something different for you, because now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers, you just bet $5, and then you get a 3-week free trial to NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. So if you want to place that bet, now's a great time to go do it. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel any time. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. Do that. Get your 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket. All you got to do is bet $5. Set your limits, use their tools, gamble responsibly, have some fun at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. There's a Locked On podcast for every team in the league. So if there's something that comes up for, let's say, the New York Knicks on opening, you want to get the opposing teams. Locked On Knicks is a great place to go check them out, to go get the opposing team's view. I would recommend heading into or coming out of every game, Locked On Celtics, then go check out the Locked On opponents just to get their take, just to hear what they're saying, just to see what they see, because they might see things a completely different way. It's great to get another perspective. All right, let's get back to this conversation here. And I think what should come out of this, we talk about motivation. Now, motivation can show up in a 50-point game against a team. The Celtics are not beyond telling a player, "Hey, they're not guarding you, Jaylen Brown. Draymond Green is just not checking you at all. Go ahead and shoot." That
was a particularly egregious example for what it's worth. Like that was a weird night. Yeah.
I do think that if there is, when I wrote about this on Boston Sports Journal, I did say, like, there is a cheat day. Every diet has a cheat day, right? Every workout plan has a rest day. There's a concept in the NBA for sure in an 82 game schedule where, hey, every once in a while, you got to let this guy kind of, if he's going for it, if you understand it's a one-off, okay, we'll let Tatum kind of go for his. If he's feeling it and he's hitting a couple of shots early, fine. If you want to drop 50 on Golden State, that's fine. As long as it's not a change in attitude, fine. But you got to win that game. That's the most important part. You cannot. The last thing I want to write about is Tatum drops 50, Celtics lose to Golden State. That would be an absolute disaster. But the motivation is different from revenge.
So it is. I think it's an interesting concept, though, because I also think that there's something to the idea of mentality and like that like if your mentality changes for a game, like if you're Tatum, right, and your mentality changes for Golden State, doesn't that kind of mean that they did get to you, that it kind of worked? And if you're going to play differently, that means that, you know, like, and I don't, to be clear, I don't think that Steve Kerr was intentionally trying to play mind games with Jayson Tatum. I don't think that's what was happening here. I think it was, you know, I don't think that was the case. I think it was a case of some, you know, the old guard having one more chance to win a gold. But if that was the case and Tatum did feel a certain type of way about it and he played a different style of basketball, even if he puts up 60, that is not how the Celtics play basketball. That's not how they won a championship. And that means that he got taken out of what works. And that is not, you know, if you can be taken out of what works one time, why can't you be taken out of what works another time?
No, that's true. That's true.
That would be, again, I feel like, I really feel like with this podcast, the spirit of Joe Mazzulla is speaking through me. Like, I think I'm kind of, I think I've kind of been possessed.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah.
But look, to me, the motivation really should show up like today, right? Today is when the motivation should be in Jayson Tatum's head, where instead of that celebratory bottle of champagne, it's an extra workout. It's the I'm rededicating myself. I'm not going to have that championship hangover. I'm going to make sure that on day one, I am just as hungry as I was on day one last year. You know, like, yes, you're coming off a championship, and ring night, it's going to be a hell of a celebration, but you have to carry that same hunger throughout the season as you had when you nearly got swept by Miami. And, you know, that feeling, that sick feeling after losing and not being able to come all the way back, putting yourself in that position. That's what this should feel like. And it should be a rededication to, okay, maybe there was, and I'm not saying, I'm just kind of like, I'm guessing that there's a desire to celebrate, just because I know Jayson Tatum was like, I haven't celebrated enough heading into the Olympics. And at some point here in mid-August, late August, it's going to have to be, all right, training camp's a month away. Like, you gotta be back ready to go, in 4 or 5 weeks. Like, that's, if you're not rededicating yourself now, if you don't have that motivation, if Kerr hasn't spurred something in you to be like, I guess I have to prove it all over again, then that's where I think there's a failure. Not if he doesn't get revenge, or if he scores 18 points and the Celtics beat the Warriors, then it's not, ooh, Tatum didn't get his revenge. No, the Celtics beat the Warriors. Great. Like, right. That's your revenge. They lost. Like, they want to win. The Warriors are trying to accomplish something. So every time you make them lose, it makes it harder for them. Like, that's a great dose of revenge for me. So to me, the motivation is in the work.
Right. Yeah. To paraphrase, like the famous phrase, right? Winning well is the best revenge, right? Like, that's right. Win well, good enough.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But, if you can drop 50 and win, all right, fine. Well, I'll take that storyline too.
Also, yeah, I think that falls within winning well, right? That's
Yeah,
fair.
sure. It'd be interesting. It's interesting. Like I said before, everybody loves a good revenge story, and it sure as hell would be fun. It would be fun to see Tatum with a glint in his eye. And like you said a couple podcasts ago, like he doesn't have that Jordan killer thing. He doesn't look at these things and say, well, and then I took it personally.
Right.
And go, that's not his personality. That's not who he is and what he is as a player. But it is fun to imagine. It would be fun, if that unlocks an anger that can be turned into focus, then okay, if he can become the killer closer and instead of step back, sidestep fadeaways, he can find ways to score 8 points in the final minute and a half on a regular basis. If that anger unlocks something, then hey, great, I'll take that. But for now, all the Celtics have to do is do what they did last year, and they'll have another really, really good chance at winning. And that's all. That's all I hope comes out of this.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Tom. Appreciate you as always.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
And appreciate little Rafi for coming in, and good on him for wanting to read. That's good. He didn't want to come in and play video games. He wants to read. That's good. Tom, don't tell Tom I said this, but he's a good dad. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate you all. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Let me know what you think in the comment section. The concept of revenge versus motivation. And yeah, again, I would love to see it. I would love to see it and have it not be something that takes away from the team. We all want to see that movie. We all want to see Kill Bill and what is it? The 5-point palm exploding heart technique. Like we all want to see the Celtics do that. Can they do it without messing things up? We'll see. But let me know your opinion in the comment section. And I would love it after that if you shared the podcast and tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.